All right, welcome everybody. This is another episode of the Golden Attitude Era podcast. We got the Stunning One, the Fassman, and KVT back in the booth for another go around. Again, just real quick plug. We got the YouTube channel at the Golden Attitude Era podcast. We got Instagram at the Golden Attitude Era, along with TikTok as well at the Golden Attitude Era. And the one slight difference is we got Facebook at the Golden Attitude Era podcast. So now that we got all the business out of the way, let's get down to the real stuff. Last episode, we had some hack coward come in to our show and take over some stuff, call out me personally. The way I usually do things, if you have an issue, we can address them face to face and not hide who you are and cover your face. So if that Rev character ever does want to hop on this show and actually have it out man to man, face to face, he can either go after the Stunning One, who he seems to have the hard on for. And I tell you what, I got the Stunning One's back 100%. Think he'll ace him, probably beat him 5-0. So now that I got that out of the way, and we can get this jabroni off my mind at least, we can get into the segment that everybody knows and loves, This Week in Wrestling History with the Fast Man. And just rest assured, I am looking forward to hearing what the Scales has to say about this guy too. But anyways, on to This Week in Wrestling History.
Great start there, KVT, $1,000 champion. Love it. A little heated right there. Get the energy flowing. I love it. All right. Good evening there.
So and do stuff like that, man. Who does this guy think he is?
No, we don't do that around here.
No,
we don't.
Disrespectful.
Absolutely, majorly disrespectful. So don't you worry. I have your back there, champ. Don't you worry. So. Yes, sir. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of This Week in Wrestling History. We'll be diving into some juicy topics from this week, from June 23rd through June 29th. The first thing I want to talk about is an old school type that you may not have thought of, other than us normally talking about WWF, WWE, and WCW and sprinkling in normally some ECW.
What do you got for me?
Yeah, well, I got something very interesting for you tonight there, champ. It's a 14-man tournament that they had back in June of 1984.
Oh, nice.
Yep,
my
from
style.
From World Class Championship Wrestling.
There we go.
It was a tournament to crown a new champion. Because of David Von Erich's sudden passing. So
right, 84. That's the oldest Von Erich.
Yep. Why it was 14 men in the tournament? Never could figure out why. But the championship match was some guy by the name of Hernandez. I couldn't remember his first name. My apologies.
Gino Hernandez.
What was his first name?
Gino Hernandez.
Gino?
Yeah.
Gino Hernandez.
If you're not familiar with this guy, they used to call him, he was similar to a Ric Flair-esque. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Very flamboyant, very, very, very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, a lot of talent.
Okay.
He had a tragic story, Fast Man. Do your history on that one. You'll be intrigued by him. And anybody else who doesn't know about Gino Hernandez.
Is he as intriguing as Mark Goulin?
Way more.
Okay.
Yeah. They think he's the illegitimate child of the promoter Bosch. I can't think of his first name right now, but there's Paul Bosch. Yeah. So there's a whole good stuff on that.
Okay.
If you just want the crash course, check out Something to Wrestle With.
Something to do wrestle with. Okay.
Yeah.
But people want to know, who did he beat that night? Well, I think the champ pretty much gave it away when he's in Flamboyant. He beat Ric Flair. Woo! For the vacant WCCW heavyweight title.
There we go.
So, yep. So that was happening in June of 1984. 2 years earlier, just to give a quick brief, we had Ted DiBiase beating Junkyard Dog for the heavyweight title as well. So just something sprinkling there.
What promotion was that?
I want to say it was WCCW as well, but I could be wrong. I can look that up and get back to you guys later in the show.
Please do, but I feel like it was Mid-South.
Mid-South would be my guess, yeah.
Mid-South, I'll look that up and get back to you.
That's a cool stuff.
When we get back from break.
I like when you talk about these old school shows. So sorry to kind of hijack that a little bit. But I like that type of stuff.
Well, we're all hijacking something tonight, so everybody's so it's okay. So, but the main two things I wanted to talk about tonight, ladies and gentlemen, are stuff that we all know and remember very well. June 23rd, 1996, King of the Ring. Just to quickly just finish off what we discussed last week with King of the Ring. Austin 316 was born that night. We all remember that pay-per-view when he beat Jake Roberts in the finals, which was actually, people forget, was supposed to be Triple H taking that spot, but we all know what happened basically a few weeks prior. Yeah. So Austin got the bump, Austin got the push, and Austin 316 was born that night. You go and prophesize your John 316. Well, Austin 316 says, I just whipped your ass. As old man Jake Roberts was being basically carried out of the arena, out of Milwaukee. Yeah. At the Mecca. So, which was surprisingly, when I remember, it only had like 9,000 people there, which I was very, very surprised at for a pay-per-view like that. So that was stunning to me. No pun intended. So, nice. Yeah. But the main reason why we're all here, and people are saying, okay, if you're talking King of the Ring, what was the biggest King of the Ring that everybody remembers? June 28th, 1998. You had a co-main event. You had Kane versus Austin for the belt in a first blood match. And if people were watching that angle, people were thinking, okay, how is Kane didn't have full body on his outfit? So people were thinking, okay, this will be a quick match. Austin will make him bleed quick, but nope, Kane was all filled, so he couldn't get cut. So everybody remembers The Undertaker costing Austin the match by hitting him with a chair. So Kane won the belt, but then the next night on Raw, Austin regained the belt. But people think, wait a minute, hold on. What did The Undertaker do that night? Why didn't he have some big match? It's like, absolutely, ladies and gentlemen, the King of the Ring that night, Hell in a Cell versus Mankind. And who knows what happened on that show? What happened to Mankind in that match?
Took a giant leap for all mankind.
Mankind Mick Foley, Mrs. Foley's baby boy, got basically thrown to hell by the Undertaker.
God Almighty, they've killed him.
Yep. Some of the greatest lines that good old JR has and the King have come up with in any pay-per-view, in my opinion. So when, like I said, and that old bastard kept coming back in that match too. He got back on top. He got chokeslammed through the cage.
That was the worst.
Through the ring. Well, not through the ring. Sorry, that was not completely through the ring.
That was Triple H.
Yeah. Yes, thank you. Sorry, I was like, wait a minute. If they were going to put that match last, then that might have happened, but they didn't. Which was very surprising that the match didn't go off last. But that's the part that people remember the most, was Undertaker versus Mankind in Hell in a Cell.
One of my favorite parts about that whole entire match was Terry Funk getting his shoes.
I was going to talk about that.
I love that part. It was just great. And then he goes, and when another thing that Mankind said, he goes, "Did I already get on a stretcher once?" They're like, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, I can't get on another one. I can't get on two in the same night."
Yep. So those were the main things that I remember about this week in wrestling history from June 23rd through June 29th. And like I said before, when I mentioned DiBiase beating Junkyard Dog for the belt, I will find out from what territory that was. So when we get back from this commercial break, you will know that answer, ladies and gentlemen. But
before you throw it back to the host,
Sure.
A couple of things on the Hell in a Cell quickly. Do you guys think that match is maybe the most for fair weather wrestling fans, like the most memorable match moments. Because
Yes.
I mean, I know I have like a lot of cousins and stuff that still, they're not wrestling fans. They like, maybe they were when they were really small, but not anymore. And they still bring
Yeah.
that match up to me, like as like
I
the
would
greatest
say-
match ever.
I would say age-wise, definitely it's one of them.
Yeah.
I would think like maybe if you go like each 10 years or whatever, each generation, if you go with kind of sticking to our time frame, you got to say
Yeah.
like Andre and Hogan
Yep.
at 3, and then
Yep.
maybe, and I know it's like 15 years apart, but like in that 15 years, I can't think of anything that was as impactful of a match, like unintentionally too, by the way.
Razor
They were-
Sean at Razor versus Sean at 10 in the ladder match.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
guess, but like
Not for like just like fair weather fans, like people that
Yeah.
aren't like nerds like us, like people that are on the outskirts of wrestling and come back
Okay.
here and there. Like I feel
I
like that
gotcha.
match always is like the one that they always talk
Mhm.
about. So it's
they always talk about that, and I feel like it's always Owen too. Like
Yeah,
they always
Owen.
talk about that,
yeah,
or
Okay.
Benoit, you know.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah.
Anything else you guys want to throw in there before we kick it back?
So
to
I have
begin the main event?
when I met Mick Foley a few years ago at one of his stand-up shows he did in Charlotte when he was doing that
Okay.
loop. And I got he was signing some 8x10s, and there's an 8x10 of, I think it's him and Taker standing on the top of the cell, and he autographed, personalized that to me. So I got that in my collection. So
Nice.
Nice.
That.
There you go.
That is really cool. That is
Yeah.
really cool.
Anything else you want to throw in there, Kyle? Are you good?
No, that's it. I'm good.
All right. So for that, ladies and gentlemen, that's This Week in Wrestling History. I am your host, the Fast Man. And now what we'll do is we'll kick it back to begin our discussion about the higher power with the champ and the commissioner.
All right, everybody. Well, as you heard, we're getting into the main event right now. We have the higher power. We're going to let this Stunning One take us through this little journey from, I believe it's starting in October 98 and ending in June 99. So, Steve, whenever you're ready, take us through this journey of the higher power, which personally was one of my favorite stories growing up. And I'll just let you go from there.
Yeah, sure thing. Yeah, right in all of our wheelhouses, age-wise, right? So the higher power, sometimes it's called the greater power. They used both during this time, but definitely one of the most memorable storylines of the Attitude Era for sure, right? Overarching, maybe the payoff wasn't as good as everyone hoped, but as far as memory of a story, this is like one of the top few that everyone always still talks about today, right? The higher power. So let's dive into this. So to give a little background on the lead up to the higher power storyline. So October of 98, there was the Judgment Day in Your House pay-per-view. And the main event of that pay-per-view was Undertaker versus Kane. And I believe Austin was the special referee, if I'm not mistaken. And the reason I bring this pay-per-view up as the beginning of this story is because this is the beginning of the Undertaker fully going heel. Paul Bearer realigned with Undertaker. He turned on Kane. So Bearer stayed heel, but he now has got Undertaker back under his wing as a heel, just like, back in the old days when
Where he belongs.
Right, exactly. Yeah, back where he belongs, or most people would say. So that was kind of the genesis of the Undertaker turning heel. So now we're going to take some twists and turns to where that headed. So that was October 18th, 98. November of 98, Undertaker is in a feud with Austin, right? There is a Monday Night Raw from November 23rd, 98. And I know a lot of you, big wrestling nerds like us are going to remember this when I mention it. There is a segment on Raw where the Undertaker he's into this heel gimmick full now, right?
Yeah.
Fully demonic. He is going to embalm Stone Cold Steve Austin. They carry Austin into this embalming room in a funeral parlor, lay him on a table, get his head set, they're taking his shirt off. They got the knife. Paul Bear is there. You know, he's a real mortician.
They cut open the shirt.
Yeah,
They cut open. Yeah, you're right. They cut open the shirt.
And how about one of my favorite parts about cutting the shirt is Undertaker was afraid that when he was cutting, he was gonna get his chin. So you just see him rip the collar as he's cutting it.
Yep.
So they obviously do not embalm Stone Cold Steve Austin on live television.
Yeah.
Kane comes in and beats on Undertaker. A melee happens. Austin wakes up. He gets out of there. Paul Bearer gets knocked out in the course of this. The police come in and try to take Kane off to the insane asylum. But in the mixture of this madness, they put Kane's mask on the Undertaker, and Undertaker is the one that got sent to the asylum. So it's just madness. This is like pure Attitude Era craziness. Vince Russo shenanigans, right? All this crazy swerves and all this stuff.
Before you move on, if anybody has not seen the outtakes of that
those are good
with Paul Bear, go YouTube that and do yourself a favor.
Yeah,
Paul Bear, Percy Pringle. I can't think of his real name. Guy is hilarious. Go YouTube those.
William Moody.
Yep.
Yeah, those are good. I rewatched those yesterday, the outtakes from that. So anyway, so Austin escapes the embalming. A couple weeks later, December 7th of 98, I was in attendance. New Haven Coliseum, Monday Night Raw.
Shout out New Haven Coliseum.
Shout out. Yeah, it's not there anymore, but we miss it.
Turn it down.
If you remember the Undertaker symbol, which a lot of people saw as a crucifix, Stone Cold Steve Austin gets crucified on the Undertaker symbol. Just a vivid memory for any WWF fan, right? We all remember that like it was yesterday.
I had that on every single one of my notebooks and folders in school. I drew that and the Allen Iverson logo as well all the time.
And I remember Austin, and you had Austin still being all badass and running his mouth at the Undertaker.
Running his mouth, cursing him out, you son of a bitch, all that good stuff.
It was the same way when they handcuffed when they handcuffed him to the ropes. It's only the face that Austin can make, dude. I'm still tougher than you, even though I'm held down to this shit. I don't know.
Yeah.
I love it.
He ain't gonna bow down to nobody, even if he's being crucified, for God's sake, or embalmed.
Kill me. I don't care.
So that was the go home show. That Monday Night Raw was the go home show for In Your House Rock Bottom, which was December 13th of 98, which was headlined by Austin and Taker in a buried alive match. The title wasn't involved because it was The Rock had the title and he was, I believe, going against Mankind again. But anyway, Austin and Taker in a buried alive match, and Austin ended up winning with the help of Kane. So Undertaker gets buried alive. So we've seen that many times throughout his career.
He never had good luck in those matches.
No.
Everybody thinks that the Undertaker would always win, but I don't think I ever saw one match where he actually won a buried alive match.
We got to check
even
his
against
record
McMahon.
Yeah, we got to check his record. I don't think it's.
Corey, look that one up too.
Yeah, we got to get it. We got to get a stat check on
Okay.
Undertaker's buried alive record. I don't think it's good either, Corey.
No, I don't think so either.
So anyway, so Taker gets buried alive, right? So usually what that means, right? Some kind of rebirth for his character in some sense, right? That's storyline, what usually happens.
Yep.
And so what happens is Taker comes back, I want to say within the month. I don't remember the exact date, but within that month. And in the meantime, you have the Acolytes, Bradshaw and Farouk at the time were being managed by the Jackal. He ends up leaving. The Ministry starts being formed. The Acolytes get with the Undertaker. Midian, formerly known as Phineas Godwin, changes. He becomes Midian. They abducted him and brainwashed him. He's part of the Ministry. At the Royal Rumble that year, they attack who used to be known as Mabel. Now he's Viscera. He gets brainwashed into the Ministry of Darkness. So now the Undertaker's assembling this faction that's pretty damn good. A lot of big names in that faction.
Acolytes were awesome.
Acolytes were good. Bradshaw and Farouk, two Hall of Famers in their own right, separately. So you have a faction put together by the Undertaker and Paul Bearer that is going to wreak havoc on the WWF, on Stone Cold Steve Austin, and soon enough on Vince McMahon. And the storyline starts developing where The Undertaker wants to control the WWF, and he's going to use his Ministry of Darkness to do that. And he's going against Vince McMahon, who was at the time was also a heel. So it's kind of strange to think about it. He didn't really see that too much, because Austin and McMahon were right in the midst of their rivalry, right? You're going into WrestleMania 15 with Austin and Rock, and McMahon was with The Rock, who was part of the corporation. So you have Undertaker as a mega heel, demonic, going head to head with Vince, who is a heel in his own right. Okay.
I think Michael Cole actually referenced that he went from being a bad guy, how crazy it was for us to hate him so much, and now we got to get sympathy from him. Or somebody did that when the bear was getting burned, right, or something like that.
Good lead-in. Yeah, exactly. That's where we're headed next. So fast forward to February 22nd, 99, Monday Night Raw was headlined by an Inferno match, which is pretty cool that was on a Monday Night Raw, of The Undertaker versus Kane. And Kane was in the employ of the corporation at the time under, Vince McMahon. I believe Kane avoided going into the insane asylum. Vince basically gave an ultimatum to join the corporation or go to the insane asylum. So that's how I think Kane became a part of the corporation. So now he's like Vince's puppet. And there was this Inferno match on Raw. And it ends, at the end of this match, Paul Bearer, Vince McMahon is out there on commentary to kind of see what's going on with this match, keep his eye on it. And Paul Bearer brings out this black gift box, and he delivers it to Vince, and everyone's like, what the hell? Michael Cole and Lawler are on commentary, and they're like, what is this box? What's the deal with this? And Vince opens it, and it's a teddy bear. And Vince is like,
he looks at it and just like starts crying.
Yeah, it's really strange. He's like, he has this strong affinity to whatever this teddy bear is, right? And at the time, nobody knows what the hell this means.
The best part, though, let me jump in real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because I just watched this maybe 45 minutes ago, just kind of get a refresher on it.
Yep.
Is him and, believe it was Michael Cole, because JR was out, I think, with his first bell palsy at this time. Yep. And it was Michael Cole and JR, and Vince joins him, right? And Michael Cole goes, what, Vince, are you afraid to open that? And Jerry goes, what do you mean he's afraid? And Vince goes, I'm not afraid. He opens it up, and he's all big, bad, and boisterous. And he looks, and it's kind of like what Corey said. He's like,
yeah, it's like his soul left his body.
What is this?
Yeah,
that was great.
So Taker ends up winning this Inferno match. They end up on the outside of the ring. Kane's foot gets lit on fire. So he's sitting there with his foot on fire. Meanwhile, Undertaker makes his way over to Vince, who's now towards the ramp. And Taker takes his teddy bear and he puts it into the flame and lights it on fire and throws it down on the ramp. And Vince is like visibly shaken. He's down on his knees and he's crawling. And Michael Cole's, what is this bear symbolic of? What does it mean? What does it all mean? And nobody knows. And that's how Raw goes off the air that day. And I always remember that. I think we all do as a vivid memory. Monday Night Raw. It was a good story, right? And it made you want to watch next week because you don't know what's the deal with this teddy bear, right?
Nobody could have sold that like Vince. Nobody.
No, yeah, it was perfect.
He's so good.
So you've got this teddy bear. So now after this happens in the Raws and the Sunday Night Heats that happen after this, Undertaker now starts referencing the greater power or the higher power that holds the key to Vince McMahon's heart and soul. And that's who's going to help the Undertaker truly take control of the WWF. So now everyone's like, what is he? What's the deal with this? Who is this higher power? Is it somebody we know? Is it somebody we don't know?
Jake the Snake is a lot of people's guesses.
Jake the Snake was a big guess. DiBiase.
DiBiase would have been perfect.
DiBiase would have been good. Apparently, I don't know if you guys might know this, but apparently Vince Russo was pushing for Christopher Daniels to be the higher power. He was doing the Fallen Angel gimmick in TNA at the time. But I guess once they presented that to Vince and Vince saw how small he was, no, Undertaker's not going to be bowing down to some cruiserweight. It just doesn't make sense. So that storyline, that the Christopher Daniels payoff never came to be. But yeah, there was a lot of
Sting would have been perfect.
That would have been good. A lot of names that could have worked out maybe better than what it did. So now we've got Monday Night Raw, March 15th of 99. So now we're full-fledged into this heated rivalry between Undertaker and Vince. And Undertaker and the Ministry of Darkness show up on Vince McMahon's front lawn in Greenwich, Connecticut, and they light the Undertaker's symbol or crucifix, whatever you want to call it, set it aflame, right? And they're walking around his house trying to break in, and they're trying to get to Stephanie McMahon. That's like the big part of the story, right? The Undertaker is trying to abduct Stephanie McMahon. Pretty creepy. No one really understood why just yet, but that's how this thing kind of kick-fired as far as what's the deal. And that brings it back to the teddy bear. I don't remember where they revealed. It might have been the next week on Raw, but the teddy bear was Stephanie McMahon's teddy bear as a kid. So that's why Vince was all, bent out of shape about this teddy bear, right? That's his little girl Stephanie's favorite stuffed animal as a child. And Undertaker, this means he's going to do something to her. Nobody knew what it was going to be, right? So they do this, burn this cross on the front yard. That's also, and I didn't remember this, that Raw is also the same Raw where the Undertaker disguises himself as Kane in the ring. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that was the same Raw. I'm sure a lot of people will always remember that when he basically, him and Triple H got into a scuffle. I don't think it was an actual match. It might have been a match, but I
think he was telling him to do something and he wouldn't do it or something.
Yeah.
Along those lines. Yeah.
And he did. Undertaker or Kane takes off the mask and reveals it's the Undertaker, and Vince was in the ring. Vince is yelling at Kane to go help him with Stephanie, and he takes off the mask and it's Undertaker, and it's like Undertaker's in the mind games. Like you can't outwit this guy. He's always one step ahead, right? So
I couldn't believe he wasn't the higher power the whole entire time. That's what I just kept thinking. Like, how is he not the higher power?
Who's that?
Undertaker. Like when I was watching, I'm like, how is he not the higher power?
How is he? Yeah, who could be higher? Who could have more power than him?
That was my thought. Like, I swear to you, when I was watching, I'm like, I still don't get how it couldn't have been him. Like,
Right. And I think that's like everyone built up who it was going to be because you assumed it had to be someone bigger than the Undertaker, storyline wise, right?
Yeah.
So that kind of worked against them, I think.
Yeah.
So WrestleMania 15 comes about. Undertaker versus Big Boss Man, Hell in a Cell. We all remember how that one ends with
he hangs him.
He hangs him. They put the Big Boss Man on a noose and he goes up with the Hell in a Cell and the Brood are up there. The Brood are in the corporate ministry. I forgot to mention them. They're in there for a little bit. Really strange ending to that match.
Yeah, the whole WrestleMania was pretty bad.
Yeah, not a great Mania. WrestleMania 15. The next night on Raw, the post-Mania Raw, which is Stephanie McMahon's television debut as an actual character, she gets abducted by the Ministry of Darkness, and Vince ends up sending out his corporation, ends up being Shamrock, who finds her. They get to Christian, who's in the Brood, and Christian gives away that she's down here in the boiler room or whatever, and they find her handcuffed in the boiler room with the upside down cross on her head. It's like a really creepy image. It's so vivid for me to remember that. So now it's like, oh shit, like this guy is going to, Undertaker's he's trying to do something serious with this girl. What is happening?
Yeah.
What's the purpose of this?
Doesn't he roll down the thing and say, "Hey, Stephanie," or something like that?
So that's coming up. So that is that's coming up. So Backlash, April 25th, 99. The main event is Austin and Rock, and Vince and Stephanie are in the back in the limo. And Vince interjects himself into this main event. He tells Stephanie, everything is going to be okay. Just stay out here. There's security. No one's going to bother you, right? Vince goes to the ring. Him and Shane are beefing a little bit at this point. Austin ends up retaining the title. Vince is walking back up the ramp, and the camera pans back to the garage, to the parking lot.
Yep.
And the Ministry of Darkness makes their way out towards the limo, and the security's trying to hold them back. And Stephanie is like screaming, right? It's like, oh my God. This limo takes off, And Stephanie's like, no, you need to wait for my dad. We have to wait for my dad. Go back, go back, go back. And all of a sudden you see the divider of the limo slowly go down. And it's that demonic Undertaker. And he looks
Where
back.
to, Stephanie?
And he
Where
says,
to? That's what it was.
it.
Sorry.
Where to, Stephanie? And she lets out this like shriek. And it's like so good, right?
Dude, I'm going to tell you what. This, like, up until this point, like right here, hook, line, and sinker. I'm in.
Oh yeah,
It's like, I'm
You're
there.
sold.
I am there. Like, because like Stephanie's getting portrayed of being like 15 years old or something at that time. Like she was getting like high schooler, right? Like that's
probably maybe like 18, 19.
Okay, but still, like that's when he's like that was like my cousin, like my older cousin. So like it was like relatable, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and the whole fear of getting kidnapped by a freaky Undertaker, you know.
So that's where Backlash ends, April 25th, 99. So after that Backlash pay-per-view, we head into Monday Night Raw the night after. And now Stephanie is kidnapped by the Ministry of Darkness, and the Undertaker is going to perform the Unholy Union with Stephanie. We didn't know what that was until they made their way to the ring, right? They've got her on that Undertaker symbol in the ring, like propped up against the rope, right? And Paul Bearer is there, and he's like the minister for this unholy union.
Yeah.
And Undertaker's whole plan is now coming to fruition. So he is wanting to marry Stephanie McMahon to get control of the WWF, right? Which is kind of funny how Triple H did that in real life. I know.
Yeah, no, I think about that all the time.
So
I thought that was fake too at the time.
So that's where we're at right now, and this unholy union is happening, and Vince is he's sending people from the corporation into the ring, and they're getting Big Show and Shamrock, and they're getting pushed away, and finally Austin comes out, and the crowd goes crazy, of course, right? The glass breaks, and Austin clears the ring. There goes Viscera, there goes Mideon, Acolytes, right?
Yo, he murdered Bradshaw. He destroyed Bradshaw, and he destroyed Mideon the second go around.
Yeah.
The one against Bradshaw was like, the one against Bradshaw hit him so hard in the head. It made me remember, oh my God, that's why the Attitude Era was the best.
Yeah.
Shit like that. And then I was like, oh my God,
concussion.
that's why I love this.
So many concussions in those days.
He murdered Bradshaw.
Yeah. Yep. Chair shots to the head. So he gets Undertaker out of there. Bearer goes down. He's able to get Stephanie off the symbol. And I always remember that image vividly. She like goes in and like hugs him so tight. He like holds his hand out, like he's not gonna hug her. He's like, she's just a little girl. He's just, I'm just doing what was right. I'm doing what any man would do, right? So Stephanie is saved. The pilot episode of SmackDown airs.
Hold on, doesn't Vince? Sorry to interrupt. Doesn't Vince come out at the end of Raw on the ramp and just start and like mouths the words "Thank you" to Austin?
Thank you. Yeah,
he gets in the ring and he's hugging her. He's hugging Stephanie, and he looks over. Yep.
The reunion. His baby girl is now safe thanks to his most hated rival, Austin. Now maybe he's not his most hated rival anymore.
Right.
I just want to say something, and I'll tell you why. I say this to Corey off air all the time. Stephanie McMahon has been one of my favorite characters from this up until when she left most recently. She was probably the best heel in the whole entire business, I guess. Like that's outside of WWF, WWE, all that.
Yeah, she's good.
She was
good at what she does.
Great.
I remember her at 18, WrestleMania 18 with Jericho.
Yeah.
Perfect there. And then when the champ and I saw them at 32 in Dallas.
Yep.
Her entrance with Triple H.
Yeah, that was a good one too.
And another good thing that was pretty cool, I was talking to Steve about this off air as well, was AEW just did this thing on where they're getting lost memorabilia. They just did one about Andre the Giant. And I was telling them how it's kind of like basically a documentary where the people talk about their experiences and how like awesome Andre was. it's really cool seeing Stephanie's story about her being like best friends with him and all this type of stuff. And I just want to kind of wrap it up with that when it comes to Stephanie. She's cool, man. I feel like people throw her under the bus and don't give her enough credit as it is. And like, if anybody hasn't watched that yet, go watch that, and you'll see a little bit of a human side of Stephanie and see like her which is a person, and it's really cool to see like what she grew up with.
Oh yeah, it's a crazy life, I'm sure, growing up in
Back
that
to our
family.
show.
Especially this being her first debut, less than a week or so before all that stuff was.
Right, yeah, and she was so good right away, right into the mix. So the pilot episode of SmackDown is filmed that same week that Austin saved Stephanie, and I was actually at this one too. This was also in New Haven.
That's sick.
So yeah, so you
lucky bastard.
I know I'm hitting like two big bullets of the storyline I was there for. The corporate ministry forms on this SmackDown episode from April 29th, 99. And what's happening now is that Shane has pushed Vince out of the corporation. He's saying your focus is not on the corporation. You're not trying to win championships anymore with your guys in this faction. You know, you're out. It's out with the old and with the new. You and Briscoe and Patterson go fly a kite. I'm running the corporation now, and I'm melding this with the Ministry of Darkness, and we're going to form the most badass faction in wrestling history, the corporate ministry. Right? We all know our theme song for our show. You know, history, corporate ministry. So that's where that story's headed now. So this higher power is still being talked about, and now Vince is kind of on the outskirts of it. Right? He's not involved with the corporation anymore. He's kind of now fully going against. He's basically full babyface now. He's fully going against the corporation and the ministry, the corporate ministry. So Vince forms his own faction. Of course, he has to form this babyface faction called the Union with all these corporation cast-offs, Test, Shamrock, Big Show. I think Mankind is in there. So now Vince has his own faction, right? So now we're gearing up. There's all these different moving pieces going on.
How awesome is the Union, though? The name?
Yeah.
Corporate ministry versus the Union.
The Union, yeah. They used to carry they carried 2x4s and stuff. I forgot that they formed out of this storyline, so it was cool going back to see how they came about. So now Austin and Taker are still in the midst of a feud. Austin is champ. Taker, he wants the gold. He wants to control the company, the whole deal. Over the Edge, May 99 pay-per-view, the Raw before that, the go-home show. History repeats itself, but in the opposite way. Austin crucifies Undertaker on his own symbol, right above. It's in the ring this time. He goes right above the ring, and Undertaker's up there, cursing out Austin, and Austin's flipping him off, saying, screw you, I'm doing this to you.
And the Undertaker does his tongue thing and the eyes.
Yeah.
So high, dude. Was it just me, or that was a good 20 feet in the air, right? Like,
yeah,
that was high.
I was rewatching that. I was like, God,
that was freaking high.
Like, when did Owen pass?
It's this pay-per-view that we're just about to talk about.
Yeah, so they probably were so confident in that after pulling all this other stuff off.
I know. I was thinking about that myself. Is that if one of those ropes broke, that Undertaker would have face planted into the ring? That would have been bad.
Absolutely.
With that cross, Austin has said that cross was a couple 100 pounds that they would lift him up on a podcast. So it would have been very bad. So luckily that didn't happen. Yeah. Over the Edge, May 23rd, 99. We just said, obviously we remember Owen, and that no one remembers really the matches that happened on that pay-per-view. No. Because they're irrelevant after what happened.
The pay-per-view should have never happened after that.
You're right.
That was Vince being greedy and wanting money.
Yeah, bad decision. So the main event of that pay-per-view, it did happen. It was Taker versus Austin for the belt, and Undertaker wins. He wins the title from Austin after I think Shane screws him. They roll him up quick. It's like a fast count. Yep. Taker wins the title, right? So now he's got what he wanted all along. He's got the title. He wants the company. So now it's back to this higher power. Who is this higher power? Are we finally going to find out now that you've got your title? So June 7th, 1999, The higher power is set to be revealed. So Vince comes out at the top of the show and he's talking to the crowd saying, some people think it'll be Jake Roberts. Some people think it's me. He's going through these names of who people think it is, right? Throwing people off the scent. Later in the show, is actually pretty soon after that, like maybe 15 minutes later, the corporate ministry comes out and they're set to reveal this higher power. They're calling him out to the ring. So that druid music plays, that the voices, the chorus, and here comes this cloaked figure walking down very slowly to the ring. Okay, he gets in the ring and he takes, I forget what happens with the microphone, but anyway, Shane's voice, Shane is not in the ring. Shane's voice goes on the loudspeaker and he starts talking and you think it's the guy in the hood. And he's like, I told you it wasn't me, but nobody believed me. And Shane comes out onto the ramp. So it's like, okay, well, it's not Shane. Who could it be? Shane comes to the ring. He says, before we reveal this greater power, I want one more witness to see who this man is going to be. And Vince, I know you're back there. I want you watching this. Vince gets on the Titantron from the back and he says, I'm sick of this shenanigans. We need to know, finally reveal yourself. Who is this higher power? And the camera zooms in.
Looking back,
yeah,
Steve, real quick, looking back, when you watch that segment, didn't you like at the time you're like, oh no, that wasn't pre-tape, that was fine,
Oh yeah, you wouldn't know. I mean, not until after you would never know, right?
Looking back, it's like, oh my god, it's so obvious that that was taped, right. like earlier in the day, like it was like crazy.
Right. Sorry, at the time, it was a good swerve, right? Because now it's like, okay, it's not Vince, it's not Shane, maybe it is Jake Roberts or whoever we think it is. Right?
Absolutely.
So the camera pans in. Shane sticks his finger to help this guy peel back the cloak, and they pull it off, and it's Vince. What a swerve! Austin. It was me, Austin. It was me all along, Austin. I had you all fooled, hook, line, and sinker. Even my immediate family was fooled. And that's it. It's Vince McMahon is the higher power. So all this storyline, Undertaker versus Vince, all the stuff he's doing to Stephanie, Vince was behind it all. Vince was doing this to screw over Austin, is what he says, because he's the dirtiest player. He's going to get you at the end. You can't top Vinnie Mac, man. He got Austin at the end with this.
Yeah, it was good. It was very good.
He tried being all fatherly when Linda and Stephanie came out.
Yeah, so we'll briefly talk.
I didn't mean to hurt you, Stephanie. It was for business. Austin made me do it.
Yeah. So
I was a little high in my voice right there.
He powders. I'm not going to dive too much into what came after, but everyone knows.
I loved it, man. I thought that was like literally there were so many ups and downs. Like it was the first time, right, that like Austin was in a storyline against somebody that like, I know, mind you, like he's had a big backstory with Vince. I know that. Yeah. But I'm talking like with one of the people that Vince puts forward in front of him, like, hey, go do my duties. It was the first like group of people that actually made you feel like, what's going on here? Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Right. Like it was cool. And I found myself getting drawn more and more into the storyline as I watched clips to like refresh my memory and everything again. It was great. Yeah. It was great.
So the payoff maybe wasn't as good as everyone hoped. Everyone always wanted this outside person coming in, and it wasn't that. It was still pretty good. Mm-hmm. It didn't last. The storyline didn't last much longer after that. I think the corporate ministry kind of dissolved within a month or two. Undertaker ended up going out with an injury, so it kind of all just kind of faded away pretty quickly. But the main point of this episode is that storyline, the build and the lead up and the payoff, it was good. It was good television because it kept you every week. You wanted to see what was going to happen next, right? They had good endings of Raws that were like, oh shit, what's next? What's next? What's next? Right?
So I was like, we were talking about the payoff, right? But I'm looking at like all the things that happened in the little timeline that I have here. Yeah. And I'm looking at the dates. That's in the heart of the Attitude Era wars. You know what I mean? The Monday Night Wars.
Yep.
So think about this storyline here, man. Like, okay, Undertaker tries to involve Austin. Austin gets crucified. Austin beats a Taker in a buried alive match. Teddy Bear burned in an Inferno match. Like there's all these different events, and that's only within the first six weeks right there. And I need to. And this is like 9 months long, right?
Yeah,
so almost a whole year.
Long storyline. Long.
Like, that is awesome stuff. And so they jam-packed it full. You got 3 different unions, like you got unions, factions.
Yep.
So I don't know, man. I think that was awesome. I don't know, as a kid, I was 11 years old.
That's when wrestling was good.
I was 10 years old, just sitting there getting told, turn that down, go to sleep. And I'm sitting there like, hell no, I'm not going to sleep right now. Austin's getting on a crucifix right now. You know what I mean? Like, what the hell are you thinking?
Crazy. And I forgot to mention this. So on the Nitro that aired of the night of the Greater Power, and I never knew this, Bischoff spoiled the Greater Power. Did you guys know that?
No. Because I wasn't watching.
There was a clip. This is on YouTube, but I never even seen it. There's a clip of him on the commentary talking about this. And he's like, by the way, on the other channel, they're going to reveal this Greater Power, and he goes by the initials of VM. And that's all I'm going to say about that. I was like, oh, what a douche.
Yeah, that is a douchebag move. But you know what? That's why he lost.
Yeah, exactly.
Because people like us, we were watching the actual show and not listening to him commentating. That's what I meant.
I didn't realize he did that.
Yeah, me neither.
It was,
They're on the way down at that point anyway. The war was basically over. Yeah.
That was desperation.
Yeah.
That was good though.
Yeah.
Appreciate you running through that. I love that storyline.
Yeah.
We'll have to find some other cool storylines that we all like and get some timeline and discuss that. Maybe get some suggestions from some other people out there.
Yeah. Send them
Anything else you want to throw in?
I was gonna ask Corey if he found an answer to we had 2 questions, but first the buried alive Undertaker, and then the one from the trivia.
Yeah. So surprisingly, what the information I found, Undertaker was in 3 buried alive matches. We all thought it might have been more.
Yeah.
Who was he against? Who was it against?
Austin.
Okay.
Vince.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Mankind.
Okay. Yeah.
The one that he won, but he didn't actually win.
Austin.
No.
Mankind. Yeah, they jumped him and hit him with the shovel.
Right. I mean, he won the match because he threw Mankind into the grave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But obviously the show ended. Was that the one which was the one where the lightning bolt hit? That one. And then his hand came through? Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, the first one. Yeah.
Yep. But yeah, like I said, he lost versus Vince when obviously all the help.
Yeah.
And then and Austin basically bashed him in the head with a shovel.
Yep.
And then he poured out, then he had Kane pouring all the dirt from the backhoe, from the backhoe or tractor, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Onto him to finish him off. So
1 and 2. So not
1 and 2, but technically 0 and 3.
Yeah, not a good match for the dead man.
No. And then the second question was, what territory was the Ted DiBiase?
Oh yeah.
Who was not the $1 Million Man yet, versus Junkyard Dog. You two correctly had answered it. Mid-South Wrestling.
There you go.
Yep.
Good work. Good stat work there, Fassman.
Shout out to our good buddy Google.
There you go.
Google knows all. Just like the 8-Ball, Google knows all. Always go to Google.
Good deal. All right, there, KVT. What's next on our plate here?
All right, so I think we're gonna go with a little bit of trivia here.
Nice.
Okay.
So,
well,
since we kind of let it cool off a little bit, I'm gonna address it again. As we said, we had some no name, some guy calls him Rev. He calls himself Rev. I mean, what's that about? Who gives the Rev? Anyways, Corey, you got anything? Any input? I don't know, Steve. If you ever do face this guy, just
Yeah.
Big
Take
quick.
this guy out 5-0. I mean, KVT says he was cooling off. I've been getting all. My blood's been boiling. My blood pressure, my blood sugar has been going through the roof for the last 45 minutes to an hour. All the water I've been drinking. You all know I like to bring my gallon jug.
It's his gimmick.
Yep, my gimmick. Into the show. It's like, yeah, no, this guy's really chapped my ass. He didn't know who he's messing with. We've got the $1,000 champ. We got the commissioner. They're my boys. It's like, no. You're not coming into our show. You're not coming into our territory. And gonna run amok tonight or any night. It's like, you want to come in here? Bring it. I'll come face the champ. Come face the fast man. Come face us before you get to the stunning one. Oh, and by the way, Steve, that title's mine tonight. So if he's coming, so he ain't gonna get to you. If he wants to get to you, he's gonna have to go through me first.
All
so
right. We'll see about
KVT.
that.
Let's go, KVT. Let's bring on those questions there, sir.
Well, hold on.
That.
I know you're fired up and ready to go, but I'm ready to hear finally from the person that was probably the most disrespected by the Rev.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to hear what he has to say.
Yeah, what do you got there, Commissioner?
Let's see what he's got.
I don't know who this guy is. Steve C came on our show as a good friend of mine, and he says he's an advocate for this guy, whoever the hell he is.
Was he Paul Heyman?
He apparently he thinks he's Paul Heyman. I don't know, but he needs to come out of the shadows. I'm not dodging anybody. Yeah. I'm the champ for a reason. I wear this gold around my shoulder for a reason. Don't hide in the shadows. Champion. Take that cloak off your head. You're not a higher power. You're not a man's league. Come on now. You want to come on the show and face the champ, man up, and come on the show. That's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, I mean, as we've all said, we know Steve. He's a man of Bret Hart. He's a man of Calgary. You can see it through and through. They've never dodged a challenger, and just like the Hart Foundation, they would bicker back and forth and disagree on some things, but kind of come together. So right now, I kind of feel like we're the Hart Foundation in the United States of America, and we got some jabroni, the Rev Run here, running away from all the challenges, and he hides in the shadows, just trying to think, using technology like these little 15-year-old girls do sometimes, So anyways, we spent enough time on him. Hopefully he does show up, and hopefully you can disregard him just as much as you are. Anyways, get me flustered. Let's just move on. So we're gonna do some trivia here. Well, Corey's finally getting his rematch because the gracious champion faces anybody, anywhere, anytime. So we're gonna start with this first question here. Okay. Gives you a little background story here. Gonna test some of your knowledge.
Oh boy, stories.
Question number one. Hulk Hogan's famous ring entrance in the Hulkamania years involved him ripping off his t-shirt and tossing it into the crowd. But when he wrestled as a heel, a bad guy, Corey, just so you don't know, just in case you don't know, in the early 80s, his attire was a little different. What did he wear to the ring then? Please remember just to send them just to me. Okay. So we got 2 answers from these guys. Let's go into question number 2. Get off the WWF train with these questions. We've been riding that pretty good in the last few episodes. So at World War III in November 1998, why was Scott Hall evicted from the NWO Hollywood faction? I'll read that again.
Thank you.
At World War III in November 98, why was Scott Hall evicted from the NWO Hollywood faction?
question. Tough one.
Okay. Number 3. When The Rock threw Stone Cold Steve Austin into the river on an episode of Raw, what city were they in?
Oh God.
Wow.
I told Steve I had one that was juicy, and this is it. I thought you guys would you would get this one. I thought one of you guys would get this one.
So what city were they in when Rock threw Austin into the river?
Yep. Don't be using your friend Google.
You don't feel no Google with me.
I'm kidding.
Taking a shot in the dark on that. That's a good question. They're tough this week, KVT.
Yep, these are good.
Okay. I got a whole bunch of them back here, bro. I can get it down.
You can go all night.
Okay, number 4. Who did Hulk Hogan defeat? I'm trying it again. Who did Hulk Hogan defeat to win the WCW World Heavyweight Championship at Road Wild 1997? Okay.
Like you're getting a good laugh or a bad laugh?
It's funny to me. So let's try this one. In the late 1980s, I was one half of the most successful team in the era, in one of the most successful teams in the era. Together with my partner, Bill Eadie, we won the WWF Tag Team titles 3 times between 88 and 90. In 1991, I was repackaged as a rather cartoonish character, which had mild success and lasted just about 15 months. Who am I? Meaning what character? You want me to read that again?
No, I'm good.
Okay. So we have a winner.
Sweating it out.
We have a winner. All right. So here, we're going to go. I'm going to read out the question. You guys read it back to me.
Okay.
This first one, I'm going to kind of abbreviate it a little bit. So it was kind of long. But when I'm saying he, I'm referring to Hulk Hogan. When Hulk Hogan wrestled as a heel, a bad guy, Corey, just in case you forgot, in the early 80s, his attire was a little different. What did he wear to the ring then?
Well, he didn't
Corey,
I wrote just trunks.
Just trunks. Okay.
I wrote blue trunks and a sparkled cape.
Okay, so I'm going to give this answer to Steve as being correct. I was looking for a cape. And I'm going to just a little tidbit I thought was cool. His capes were usually coordinated to match manager Freddie Blassie's shiny outfits.
Oh, nice. I never knew that.
Yep.
I knew Blassie was his manager. I just didn't know if he had anything other than the trunks.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so that's 1 for Steve. Steve, keep track of your points here.
Yep.
All right. At World War III in November 98, why was Scott Hall evicted from the NWO Hollywood faction? Corey?
I wrote because he was drunk.
Good guess.
Oh my God.
Good guess.
It's true.
Good luck.
Not real life, Corey. Storyline. Kayfabe, bro. Kayfabe.
Oh, sorry.
Oh.
What did you write, Steve?
I thought that he won the World War III Battle Royal that year, so I put because he wasn't supposed to win it. Like, I didn't want him to win it. That was a guess. I don't know.
Okay. Both good guesses. Corey was going for real life. I was going kayfabe. He disrespected Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff a few weeks earlier.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. They deserved it, I'm sure.
No, absolutely.
In real life, it's 1-1, but in storyline, it's still 1-0.
Yep. So 1-0 stunning one. So this one was one of my favorite. Was the one that I really was looking forward to seeing you guys look at was when The Rock threw Austin into the river on the episode of Raw. What city were they in, Corey?
I said Seattle.
I said Pittsburgh.
Detroit.
God!
Damn.
Damn it! I was going between Seattle and Detroit. Fuck.
Rock City.
Sorry, nation.
Fassman dropping F-bombs.
Yeah, dude. There goes all right. And maybe we'll get some more views. Maybe we're on to something. Anyways, moving on like it never even happened, right?
Yep.
Who did Hulk Hogan defeat to win the WCW World Heavyweight Championship at Road Wild 1997?
I said the Giant.
That's who I said too.
Yep. Luger.
Oh, Luger.
Oh, he beat Luger?
Oh,
Yep.
I think it was 96 he beat Giant. Damn. Yeah, it was Luger.
Yep.
Wow.
Okay.
Damn, we both got it wrong.
This last question.
These questions have been tough.
Yeah, they're hard.
1-1? 1-1? Or
1-0.
1-0 still. No, it's still 1-0.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to leave this last question out fully just to make sure that everybody hears it again.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Do you want to ask the bonus in case it gets to a tie? Because you didn't do a bonus question.
There is no bonus needed. We have a winner.
Oh, well, you spoiled that. Thanks, Dave Meltzer.
Well, you shouldn't have asked the questions if you don't want to know the answer.
Well, normally we ask a bonus question.
No, we don't. It's when it's needed. We do it afterwards. So you just ruined it. So anyways, in the late 80s, I was one half of the, let me try this again. In the late 80s, I was one half of one of the most successful teams in the era. My tag team partner was Bill Eadie. We won the WWF tag team titles 3 times between 88 and 90. In 91, I was repackaged as a rather cartoonish character, which had mild success and lasted just about 15 months. Who am I? Corey?
I said Tugboat.
I love that answer, but you're wrong.
It's
I
Barry
really
Dar-
love that answer.
It's Barry Darsow, Smash, Repo Man.
Repo.
Oh.
Repo.
Bill Eadie was Axe from Demolition. That's what you're talking about.
Who was I thinking of?
You're thinking of Earthquake and Typhoon.
Right. Who was Earthquake was who? John
Tenta.
That's right.
Yeah. I knew where your head was at. That's why I like the answer. But so he retains it 2-0.
That was a defensive struggle.
That was.
Yeah. Yeah, that was like the Bills. That was like the Bills beating the Ravens last year with that pick six.
So there it is, Rev. The gold is still here, buddy. You want some? Come get some.
All right. And Corey, just to feed your appetite for these bonus questions that you love. Who did Skip lose to at SummerSlam 95?
Barry Horowitz.
Yep. We both would have got that one. There you go.
Yeah. All right. Well, there we have it. What's this up to now? What do we got you at?
We are at 4-0.
4-0. All right. Well, next we got coming up here, we got the little snake draft. But before we do that, I do just want to give out
we got to pay some bills
one more time here. We are at TikTok and Instagram at the Golden Attitude Era. We are at YouTube at the Golden Attitude Era Podcast, and we are at Facebook at the Golden Attitude Era Podcast. Please check us out. And also, we do have a little Facebook page that's kind of related to the show, but not as well. It's wrestling, and then if you type in Fresh Painted Coat or something along those lines, you'll be able to find it. We'll do it a little bit better next time getting you out there, but we do like to share a bunch of wrestling stuff for all the wrestling heads out there.
And if I get one more person asking me where the MySpace is, I'm gonna lose it on you guys.
Steve,
no MySpace.
I think he should start a MySpace. He loves to talk about it so much. I think we need one.
What I'm gonna do is what we're gonna do is we're gonna put him on. He's gonna take one episode off. And during that episode, he's going to set up a MySpace page. You better come back with that stuff, having the music playing in the background, all that good stuff that we like. And then we've got to be all set up.
You're going to revitalize MySpace for America.
Yep. And Corey, you hear it now. Majority rules on this show. And if we hear MySpace one more freaking time, you go to the damn MySpace.
All right, I'm good.
All right. Anyways, now moving on again, Steve. Congratulations, Corey. Good fight. Those were rather tougher questions.
They were.
Good fight.
Depending on if we ever hear from this individual, I might be going against Steve next week, or we may have somebody else hop on. We don't know. I'm always ready.
I want to issue a challenge to KVT for next week. And also, I know we mentioned, hate to see it with Mike and Sid, maybe asking one of those guys on it. And Mike said he'd be willing to take a stab at my gold. So we'll have to get him on a future episode as well.
Hey man, I'm always running on short notice. So I'm always training. I'm always ready. Always got the energy and the time. So if that's what we want to do with next week, I'll take a shot at it.
All right.
So absolutely. Now let's get into this week's episode of the Stevie Scales Stunning One, the Slithering Steak Draft, whatever. And just we got a special episode in honor of Father's Day that just passed. We're gonna do a cool little segment. So what I'll do now is I'll throw it over to the Stunning One. Again, congratulations, and we'll get into the draft.
Thanks, KVT. Welcome back to Scale Snake Draft. As Kyle said, this week, in honor of Father's Day that we celebrated yesterday, we are going to do a snake draft to honor the fathers of wrestlers. We are going to be drafting today father, son, or father-daughter wrestler combination. So basically, there will be, each of us is going to draft one father and daughter who are both wrestlers, and then two father-sons wrestlers, right? Basically second, third generation superstars, however the hell you want to say it. That's what we're doing today.
Yes,
so let me share my screen here.
Let's go to the big board, everybody.
Yeah, that's right. It's good.
While we're doing this, one thing we decided to do was, so some dads out there had whole basketball teams worth of children. So like Stu Hart, Fritz Von Erich, people like that.
Yeah.
Once we pick them one time, whether it's whoever the child is,
that's a wrap.
That whole family is removed.
Right, they're off the board.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair.
So we'll all have unique 6-man tag teams at the end of
this. Otherwise,
six person,
yes, man or woman. You're right, 6-person. Thank you.
2021, Steve.
Yeah, no.
What's the matter with you?
Get with it. Mixed tags.
I'm gonna just cancel you.
Don't cancel me, please.
No, cancel him, cancel us.
Yeah, we don't need that.
No. Anyways, moving on.
You guys can see it? We're good? You can see the draft board?
I'm ready to rock and roll.
All right, so our draft order this week, Fassman's going to lead us off, then KVT, and then myself. So without further ado, Corey, start us off.
Getting the easiest one out of the way. Stu and Brett. Nothing more, nothing less. Boom.
Okay. See, I knew that was going to happen, so I took a different strategy. Got to be strategic in these drafts. Got to fill the needs where they're needed, right? Why not go with
the number one pick? Boom, so I got it right out of the bat.
Why not go with the greatest wrestler, male of all time, in some people's opinion?
Don't do it.
The greatest woman wrestler, in my opinion, ever, in the Flair family, Rick and Charlotte.
Okay.
See you later. How you doing?
Bastard. That's the best pick right there. Damn it. All right. I'm up for two. I'm gonna go with since Charlotte was the only woman that she was leagues above the other two, so I'm gonna venture off and not take a woman here. So I'm gonna go with the People's Champ and the Soul Man,
Rocky Maivia.
I like that.
Rock and Rocky Johnson. That was
my other. That was good. That was gonna be my other pick there.
Okay.
Second pick, I'm gonna go with two guys that we heavily discussed in our main topic.
Vince and Shane, huh?
Vince and Shane McMahon. KVT?
See, there's so many different routes I want to go with this. I don't know if I want to go just go straight old school now and just go with some off the wall type people here. But with that being said, I think I'm gonna jump the shark here and take these guys at number 2 instead of number 3. Go with Johnny and Greg Valentine.
Oh, nice. Yeah,
okay.
Good pick.
You're good at going those off the cuff type like you did last week with the with Skinner.
Yeah. I like it. That's a good pick.
Okay.
Fassman.
Yep. Fassman for 2. So I'm going to stay in the Heart Dungeon, and I'm going to go with this time I'm going to go with the father-daughter.
All right.
Going with the Anvil and Natalia Neidhart. And to finish off, I'm going to go with a rivalry that Brett had with this family in the early 90s. SummerSlam, Survivor Series, King of the Ring, Larry and Mr. Perfect.
Nice.
Kurt Hennig.
Bury the axe.
Yep.
Yeah, I like that one. That's a good one.
Really good pick.
So I'm gonna go same route as number 2, because I feel like I can kind of go anywhere after getting the first one. So I'm gonna go another route that I don't think a lot of people would have thought of in this draft. Angelo Poffo and Macho Man Randy Savage.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, they're on my board. That's a really good pick.
Were they?
Yeah, oh yeah. That's a good one. You know, Macho Man's always on my draft board. Come on.
True, very true.
Yeah. And just hold on, and before we finish it off, we're not doing a 4th round. This is the final pick.
Final pick. Well, I guess I need my father-daughter. And there's really only one left for me in my mind, and that's he's one of the 4 horsemen.
Okay.
And his daughter, you know, she's a current wrestler, not in WWE obviously, but she probably will be eventually. She's really
now
good.
do you get a 3-man
Tessa
tag?
Blanchard. What did he say?
Do you get a 3-man tag with that one and have Magnum TA?
Yeah, the stepdad. Yeah, maybe he's the manager.
He's the manager. Oh yeah, because he had the injury, right?
Yeah. We'll throw Magnum TA in there as the manager.
Okay.
I like
that. Yeah,
so there it is.
I think we all got good ones.
Yeah, that's really good. Looks like so Corey stayed in the Hart Dungeon, as he said, and then an adversary of Bret Hart with Larry and Kurt Hennig.
And
KVT took the best female and the father-daughter combo off the board first, Nature Boy and Charlotte. Followed that up with Johnny and Greg the Hammer Valentine, and of course the Macho Man Randy Savage and his father Angelo Poffo. And then I went with the Great One and his father Rocky Johnson. I took Vincent Shane just because it's Vincent Shane. Gotta have him on here. And Tully and Tessa Blanchard. So I'd say that was pretty good. I like that.
Yep, absolutely. That was good, Steve. Thank you.
Yeah.
As always, the Scales draft is always good entertainment. Gives guys a little bit of idea of who we like and what type of styles we like and things like that. With that being said, that wraps up this episode here of the Golden Attitude Era podcast. Again, you can find us in this episode and all other episodes at the Golden Attitude Era podcast on YouTube. We have an Instagram and TikTok page at the Golden Attitude Era. And Facebook is the Golden Attitude Era podcast. And until next time, when I take on the Stunning One and get that belt back to where it rightfully belongs, we'll see you next time. Have a good day, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Bye, everybody.